I recently uploaded a video about how to increase your reps in basic calisthenics exercises, and a lot of you asked me to make one explaining how to hold statics or tension exercises for longer, so let's get into it. But first, just a reminder, if you want to return the favor for the extra planche and front lever seconds I'm about to give you, you can support me by using the code JERAI at prosys.com. You'll get 10% off, free gifts depending on your order amount, and reward points you can trade for even more gifts. Thank you for your support. To quickly recap and give you some context, in the video about increasing your reps, I said the best way to boost your max rep count is to do a high volume of reps and sets throughout the week. I also showed different methods for doing that, which you can check out in that video if you are interested. So the first thing we might ask ourselves is, when it comes to static exercises, does the same method work? Should we do just a ton of seconds holding that static position each week? And the answer is yes and no. Let me explain. If we are talking about a static where you already have enough control to do 5 seconds or more with good form without pushing your muscles too hard or putting your joints at risk, then yes, just holding a lot of sets of that hold to accumulate time throughout the week will be more than enough. But there's a problem with statics. Often we can only hold them for a few seconds and they feel right at the edge of our limits. The form is shaky, the muscles are about to give out, and our joints are maxed out. In that case, no, it's not enough to just try and rack up time, because we won't be able to do it with good quality, and the risk of injury is way too high. So, what can we do in these situations? Here are a few solutions I recommend. First, you can artificially increase the seconds using negatives. Negatives or eccentrics are a way to increase your time under tension by using a variation of the exercise where you move slowly toward the hardest part. For example, a front lever negative means lowering yourself from a vertical position down to horizontal. A planche negative would start from the handstand and lower into the planche. That way, even if you can only hold the position for 2 seconds, adding a negative lets you stretch that out to 6 or 8 seconds of time under tension. Second, you can artificially increase the time using easier technique variations. One of the most effective ways to do this is, in my opinion, by bending your elbows. Whether you are training planche, front lever, or any of their progressions, bending your elbows makes it way easier to hold the position, but you'll still be working the same muscles in a very effective way. This lets you go from barely managing 1 or 2 seconds to doing much longer sets that actually contribute to your weekly total. As an extra tip, I suggest combining this with the first method. Do negatives with bent elbows, and you'll get even more time under tension. And third, you can increase your seconds by using easier progressions. This is the most common method and the one I recommend when your muscles or connective tissue aren't ready for a more advanced progression. For example, maybe you are close to getting the straddle planche, but even holding it for 1 or 2 seconds feels super forced and your wrist, elbows or shoulders are taking a beating. In that case, drop down to an easier progression, like the advanced tucked planche, and build time there. After a while, try the straddle again. If it feels more manageable, you can move on to using negatives or the bent arm version, or even combine them both. Now, some of you are probably wondering about resistance bands, and it's true. They are another commonly used option for making exercises easier by reducing the load. I know some people really like using them and even get good results from them, so if that's something you are into, go for it. That said, I personally don't think it's the best option, and I usually don't recommend it. The elastic band changes how the weight is distributed, and I feel like that change doesn't really help when it comes time to do the exercise without the band. I also think there's an ego element involved. People want to see themselves in the full position, like a full front lever, and would rather use a band to make it happen than train a harder progression like the advanced tucked without one. I'll probably go deeper into this in a future video. So my advice is to stick with the options that don't involve bands, unless you really love using them and want to stick with them no matter what. Calisthenics crew, remember that you've got training programs and Evo routines for planche, front lever, back lever and other statics holds available on Calisthenics app. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this and subscribe for more videos. Thanks for watching, use my code Jedi on prosys.com and see you next time.